Okay, we are recording. We have Michelle Bowen from Acton Leadership Academy in Woodlands, Texas. Hi, how are you?
Hi, so great.
Did I actually say that right? Is it Woodlands or is it the Woodlands?
It is technically the Woodlands with a capital T. And our schools are actually, this is technicalities, but we have a location in Magnolia, which is just outside of the Woodlands, and kind of Creekside Tomball, which is just outside of the Woodlands. So
Got it. Okay, great. And so the reason we're doing this is because we keep running into micro schools, hybrid schools, pods, all these alternative learning types of schools that are struggling with problems, usually related to business operations. How do I hire? How do I grow? How do I scale? And we want to try to help them with that. And so the best way to do that, we thought, is just to find people who have figured it out and are successful. And we definitely believe that you are that. And just so folks know, you were pretty much one of the first people who opened my world up to understanding not only Acton Academies, but more broadly, this alternative learning models that exist probably a year and a half ago. So we've become friends, and that is how I know you. So I'm going to fire through 4 questions.
okay.
Answer honestly, answer fast. Does that sound good?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, great.
Hey, and you got to cut me off if I don't answer fast.
Okay,
It's not a strength.
okay, great. So what is Acton Leadership?
So Acton Leadership is a branch of Acton Academy, and we basically do everything the main Acton campus does, but we chose to add leadership into our title because we focus on, well, basically we're more about character and leadership development than academics. And we want families that come to us to know that. Like, we do academics and we do them very well, but academics, we say academics are the game we play to get to the skills that we really feel our children need to be successful in their life.
That's amazing. And then just give us an idea of scale. Like, you have, I think, 2 schools now. How many students, if you feel like sharing that?
Yeah, we have. So last year we opened our second location, and we basically didn't grow student count, but just kind of split. And so then this year we've added some, I think we're about 60 on each campus-ish average. So with room to grow to double plus that at each location.
Amazing. So now people know why I say you're successful. Okay, so one of the things we want to try to do is make it very actionable. And one of the problems we keep hearing from customers is how to hire. And I think you call it active. I think you call them guides. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But
yes,
how did you hire your first 1 to 2 teachers? Or guides, excuse me, guides.
Yeah, that's okay. I know what you mean. So this may be more than you want, and maybe not as actionable for some schools. When we just started by telling people, this is what we're doing. Like, this is crazy, we know, but do you want to learn about it? And so our first guides actually came as parents who said, I don't care what I have to do. I want my children in this model and I want to be involved. So I'm either going to get a job to pay for my children to come, or I'm interested in working with you to build the mission. So that was how our first guides came. Our second round of hiring, we did a group interview, which was really fascinating. Our guides, because they're not teachers, we use the Socratic method. And so we actually did a Socratic discussion with all of these competing, if you will, candidates for the job. And I think they were all trepidatious about it, but in the end, we got really cool feedback about having that experience together and opened their eyes to really what Acton was and what we do.
Okay, wait, just to go deeper on that for a second.
Yeah.
You mean you had 5 guides who were interviewing for a job in a room together or on Zoom?
Yeah, like 10 in a room together. Yeah.
That's amazing. I've never heard of that before. And then why was it beneficial to you? Were you able to weed out who was the best for your school at that point?
Yeah, I mean, we were really able to see how, first of all, they sort of handled that. And at the core of what we do is these kind of discussions where people connect and share about their stories. So to see them do that with each other, but also to just see who had a good handle on the philosophy. Before they came, we asked them to read a book and, learn about our model. And so we really were able to just see by their answers who was really there for that. So anyways.
That's really neat. And I know the book you're talking about. I read it. I'm forgetting the name. What's the name of the book?
It's called Courage to Grow. I would encourage anyone who's a geek about education in the micro school world to read it. Even if you're, you don't want to go the path of Acton. It's just, it's really valuable for our day and time and where we're going with education, where we've been and where we're going.
I agree. What was the hardest part about opening the second school?
I'm going to answer two things, both very different. A location and like just the logistics of a location. Our first location we rented in kind of a strip mall, and it's not really a mall, but sort of a business center, renovated. Our second location, we went big and got a permanent location right away with acreage and the ability to build buildings, but permits and regulations, like that's been the very, very hardest. The second part is more to the organicness. If is that a word? I don't know if that's a word. If you're building an educational community, we split. By design, we grew to the people that were driving to us. So some families are driving 45 minutes. Our plan, and we'll continue with this model, is to, okay, well, now they're driving, so let's open where we have a set of families already, founding families. But that split in community was harder than we anticipated, both for the families and the learners, and as just part of building a new community in our second location. We are seeing our first location thrive and take on much more of like the community feel without us pushing it so much. Like people are actually doing that, where before it was us. So now we're kind of in the second location being the community makers, as it kind of doesn't have its own life yet. So I don't know if that's helpful.
Yeah, it's super helpful. It's interesting, the model where you decided to split it. Last question for anyone starting or scaling a school. Do you have any actionable or specific advice if you spoke to yourself? When is it? Like 5 or 10 years ago you started this?
We're on year 5.
Year 5. Okay, great.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'd love to talk to anyone who wants to dive more into this, because I really geek out about this. And it's to find your why. As soon as we were really able to drill down, like we're not just a school, we are doing this for a real purpose. And I'll share that with you. We empower families to grow and grow together. That's the first part. The second part is that we guide learners to become leaders by creating and protecting a learner-driven environment. So there's lots of words in there that probably don't make any sense to you, but as soon as we drill, not you, but other people, as soon as we drill down on like, why are we doing this? Why are we different? Why should people choose us over the next school down the road that's cheaper, or the public school that appears to be free? That's why. It's because they want something different. But if you don't tell your people why you're different and how you're different, you just look like another school. And they fill in all the gaps of the things you don't tell them. And they think they know what you do, even though they don't. And it's nothing wrong. It's just what humans do. Like we think we understand. So then we move forward with assumptions that aren't very powerful when you're trying to build something and do something very different.
Amazing. So you basically just kind of summarized a whole book on positioning and defining your market, which is very interesting because a few other people that I've spoken to that are very similar to you in different parts of the country said something pretty similar, where they said you have to define who your market is and what value you're delivering to them and why you're delivering it specifically.
Yeah. Well, I told you I geek out about this, but I have done coaching calls with other owners, Acton owners, about helping them do that. And I have some really annoying questions that help people kind of get to their why and get to the heart of that. So it's there for everyone, but
okay, wait, really quick. What is one of the questions, just as an example?
Okay, so Brett, what's your why? Why do you do what you do?
I do what I do because I was diagnosed with a bunch of learning disabilities in 5th grade, and I had a teacher that changed my life, and I wanted to help kids have more versions of her. And I do that via software. So that is where the deep why comes from. I know it's a bit existential, but that's why I do what I do.
No. So now we're going to go a little bit deeper.
Okay. I'm on the spot. I didn't.
Okay. Yeah, totally.
Okay.
So what is the impact in the world of having more teachers like her? What does that do for the world?
Well, the reason I think that there needs to be more teachers like her, and there probably are, was that she didn't necessarily just teach me how to add better or figure out how to be a good writer, but she believed in me. She instilled confidence. She built space. She let me figure out who I was as a human being. And to this day, by the way, I'm still good friends with her. And that my belief, based on my experience, was that is what helped shape me into the human I am. And also I am not today, because, there's things that I'm good at and I'm not good at. So that that was my reasoning in coming to that conclusion.
So more people, children, or whoever that have that type of experience in the world, what does that bring about in the world? What is the impact of that?
Well, if there's more kids who grow up to do what they love and do what they're very good at, I think it could have compounding effects. I actually believe that's why this whole movement of this, like this whole alternative education movement exists versus necessarily being in some type of monotonous machine. Now, I'm not saying that public school is bad or private
No,
school.
I'm with you.
Yeah, different
I'm with
choice for everyone. But like if people actually do what they really love to do and are very gifted at, their lives are better. I think like the entire GDP at the macro level gets better because they will be more productive human beings.
Yeah. So there, you just look, I got goosebumps. That's my sign that someone's getting really close to their why and that they're articulating it. And that's how we change the world. It's like helping one person identify who they are and what they're about, and then empowering them to do it. And that's what you do. And you've been such a blessing to us as we've tried to grow and fix problems that we didn't get into this business to fix. Like all of the back end, all the software. We don't want to do that, but you do.
Yeah, we do. Well, good. Everyone plays their part. Okay, I think we're over 10 minutes. Thank you so much. It was awesome having you. I'm going to stop the recording, and I will also make sure to put your website on there in case people have any